The following episode of The Kingdom of Isolation contains footage from the film being discussed. The footage is used solely for the purposes of education, commentary, and criticism under fair use. Please support the animators by watching this film on Disney Plus or home media where available. This episode also contains spoilers throughout.
July 26th has arrived at time of recording, which means today the opening ceremony is here for the Olympic Games. And I am very, very excited about what the Olympics are going to have in store for the next couple of weeks. So, with that being said, hello, my fellow Disney fans, and welcome to the Kingdom of Isolation, where in times of trouble, why not celebrate the magic of Disney? And today we are continuing our summer of sport with Cool Runnings, released in 1993, based on the true story of the first ever Jamaica have a bobsled team. Let me have that one. Now, watching this when I was younger always gave me some good laughs, and still does to this day. As I mentioned, inspired by the first Jamaican bobsled team at the 1988 Winter Olympics in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Now, by the time this comes out, depending on how quickly I can get it all put together, the Paris Olympics will already be underway. And I was looking, and I'm really looking forward to it, and especially with some of the newer events like breaking, making their debut. Now, breaking is basically street dance. So, hey, that I'm really looking forward to. For now, let's get started on Jamaica's journey into the Winter Olympics. Now, one of the fun things to know here is that the film was known as Cold Buttocks in Norway and Rasta Rocket in France. The film's story was co-written by Michael Ritchie, who had directed the Robert Redford downhill skiing movie Downhill Racer, and later the snow survivalist comedy The Survivors. The movie documents the events at the 88 Calgary Winter Olympics, as did the later movie Eddie the Eagle. This film was made and released about 23 years before Eddie the Eagle, because Eddie the Eagle came out in 2015, 2016, roughly. They both feature protagonists who competed at the same Winter Olympics in Calgary in 88 and were not medal winners, but were struggling and ridiculed competitors who showed great spirit and determination. And that's the spirit of the games. In the later movie, one of the commentators makes a clear reference to the Jamaican bobsled team. And it was also the second to 88 was also the second to last year that the Winter and Summer Olympics were held the same year, every leap year in this case, as the 1992 Olympics were the last year that both Olympiads were held in the same year. Albertville in France for the Winter Olympics and Barcelona for the Summer Olympics. And then the 94 Winter Olympics would be in Lillehammer in Norway. Jeremiah S. Chechik was slated to direct until he moved on to do Benny and June instead. And then John Turteltaub was officially hired to direct. A number of directors were attached to direct the movie before John ended up becoming the film's director in the end. The directors who were attached included Brian Gibson, Jeremiah, we've already mentioned, and Fran Rubel Kuzui. The co-writer of the movie story, Michael Ritchie, who had directed, he wasn't interested in directing, but only wanting a producer credit. Contrary to the story in the movie, the Jamaican team was met with open arms by the international bobsledding teams. One of the other teams even went so far as to lend the Jamaican team a backup sled so they could qualify. Production started in wintry Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and then moved on to Ocho Rios and Montego Bay in Jamaica. Now, hip-hop legend Tupac Shakur, rest in peace, auditioned for a role in the film. Early drafts of the screenplay contained more drama than comedy. At that point, the movie was known as Blue Maja, and Brian Gibson was attached to direct at the time. And while the movie is based on a true story, there were many changes to add comedy, drama, and character development. The movie portrays the Jamaican bobsledders as athletes. However, in real life, they were members of the Jamaican military. The period of principal photography on this picture ran for around 2 months between February and March 1993. In real life, a number of Olympians have competed in both Winter and Summer Olympics, including bobsledders, who also compete in track and field, with 2 examples being American hurdler Lolo Jones and American sprinter Lauren Williams. The sun rises over the island of Jamaica with a great song to start the film with, Love You Want, performed by the Wailing Souls. The soundtrack as a whole is just great, incorporating the Caribbean, 6.5 dozen, tomatoes, whatever, including steel drums throughout the soundtrack, not just with the songs, but with the score as well. 3 guesses who it is. My main man, Hans Zimmer, who we haven't seen in around 3 years since he was last in the Kingdom of Isolation with The Lion King. Top right of your screen if you haven't seen the episodes yet. Darius Bannock is played by Leo. Darius is getting a final training session in before the Olympic trials. But before all that, we have a pushcart derby to get through.
Handsome as a lion, that one. I could watch that backside all day.
That sort of line wouldn't pass today, but it's still funny to hear, adding to the charm this film has, even with it being 31 years old. Sanka Coffey, portrayed by Doug E. Doug, is the captain of the team for the pushcart, known as Rasta Rockets. Doug also has an animated role to his as one of the jellyfish in Shark Tale. Don't worry, I'll start the DreamWorks films eventually. I have a lot of Disney and Pixar to get through first. In real life, the local pushcart derby inspired George Fitch and William Maloney, American businessmen living in Jamaica, to develop the Jamaican bobsled team. Denzel Washington turned down the role for Darius Bannock, and Eddie Murphy turned down the role for Sanka Coffey, balking at the pay being offered. Yikes. In 1993, they wanted to be paid a lot. Anyway, songs on the film's soundtrack were also heard in the musical Rasta in the Snow, which is also based on the Jamaican bobsled team.
Get back to work!
Okay, Sanka, I'll get back to it.
Ready, little man? Ready, big man? Kiss the lucky egg.
The good luck charm of the team, believe it or not, Doug still has the lucky eggs used in the film to this day. How? They were made of rubber.
Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, get on up, it's pushcart time!
Nice bit of foreshadowing towards what they'd use in Calgary. Chaos, trash talk, and excitement as the derby is now underway. Rasta Rocket here is spelt with 2 T's, whereas the film title in France has only 1 T. The name Sanka Coffee is a reference to the famous coffee brand Sanka. Actor Leon said of the film, the script has been following me around for 3.5 years. In an interview with the Seattle Times, he said, I signed on more than a year before we actually started. When Leon signed on to do the film, Brian Gibson was still attached to direct the film.
I love Jamaica, and Jamaica loves me!
And I love this movie, and this movie loves me! Where was I? Yes, Sanka wins, but then big crash into the snacks and drink stands. Thankfully, Winston jumps out of the way, but then we get one of the most quoted line in the movie.
Therese, are you nervous?
I'm terrified.
Thankfully, everyone's okay. According to Tommy Swerdlow, the only line in the film that he did not write was, Sanka, you dead? Yeah, man. That is the only line that came from the original version of the script. Later on, Darius is getting ready for one more run to prepare for the Olympic trials.
Hey, good luck to you too.
Hey, who wouldn't be when you have the opportunity to represent your country at a major sporting event? Also, that theme from Hans Zimmer, very uplifting in my eyes. One piece of inaccuracy here is the trials for the summer plays Summer Olympics they're normally held a few weeks before the start of the Olympics themselves, the end of June in the case of the Paris Olympics here in 2024. Here, they're taking place in November. Creative liberties have to be taken in regards to movies like this, so there's bound to be some inaccuracies or changes to the original story for dramatic purposes. I should really get back into the book I'm writing involving athletics while I'm at it.
But I was born to compete in the Olympics.
Then you're going to have to work on your boxing or your cycling. Those are the only other two sports in which Jamaica competes.
Right. Junior Bevel and Yul Brynner. Yes, the latter is a play on the famous Magnificent Seven actor's name. Are both portrayed by Raul D. Lewis and Malik Yoba, respectively, in their debut feature roles. Disney envisioned the original cast with Denzel Washington as Darius, Eddie Murphy as Sanka, Wesley Snipes as Yul, and Marlon Wayans as Junior, with John Candy as Irving Blitzer. In addition to the film's solo DVD and video cassette releases, the film was also later released on a DVD double bill with Disney's later snowbound movie, Snow Dogs, which was made and released just under a decade afterwards. Cuba Gooding Jr., who stars in Snow Dogs, was considered to play one of the Jamaican bobsledders in the film. According to actor Leon, producer Dawn Steele worked on the second unit for a time during the shoot and reportedly said, "Never again, I never want to direct." There were conflicts between Disney and the cast and crew over the character's accent. Leon said they wanted me to sound like a black Aladdin. Yikes! They wanted a Disney version. It was tough because if anybody wants to be authentic, it's me. But I'm a professional and I had to do the job. Malik Yoba said, "They'd say people in Middle America won't be able to understand you." At that time, people had less access to cultural differences and didn't know how Jamaican really sounded. Disney's then chairman, Jeffrey Katzenberg, then called John Turteltaub at 1 a.m., saying, "If you can't get these accents to where I can understand them clearly, I'll find a director who can." The next day, Turteltaub told the cast, "I'm going to get fired if you don't sound like Sebastian the Crab. Please don't get me fired." He concluded, "We joked about it, but they got it. They understood. We're not going to do Sebastian the Crab, but we're going to do an Americanized version of the movie that people around the world can understand." And then you wonder why Disney hated working with Jeffrey Katzenberg. Anyway, Jeffrey Wright and Eric LaSalle were also considered for a role as one of the 4 Jamaican bobsledders. Don't worry, we'll get to John Candy shortly. Everyone falls silent as the 100 meters is about to get underway. Away first time, and the top 3 look like it's going to be Darius Jr. and Yul, not necessarily in that order. Junior unfortunately loses his footing and then takes the other 2 with him, ending their chances of representing Jamaica in Seoul, Korea. The flag banner of the slogan of the Jamaican bobsled team read, "Support our country, unity is strength. Yes, Jamaica, together we can." We see this banner in the Olympic trials, and it also gives us the first Coca-Cola product placement of the movie.
You will have another chance in 4 years.
M. Barrington Coolidge, the president of the Jamaican Olympic Committee, portrayed by Winston Stoner, don't even think about it, claims that his country only participates in boxing and cycling as well as the track. In addition to these sports, Jamaica also fielded teams in table tennis and weightlifting at the '88 Summer Olympics. Indeed, you'll get 2 or 3 opportunities, if that, in your lifetime to represent your country at the Olympics. Darius then gets intel on Irving Blitzer, who worked with Darius's father and tried to get him to switch sports, having this theory that track sprinters can help push the sled faster.
Can you imagine a Jamaican bobsledder?
Sometimes the soundtrack can also add sound cues like that just to show the genius of the sound team. The steel drums in this case are used to portray the classic light bulb moment. Darius then gets the idea to try and find Blitzer and create the first Jamaican bobsled team. There's just one small question.
What's a bobsled?
It doesn't matter how many times I watch this, I still crack up every time I hear that line. What's a bobsled? Apparently, that's a bobsled. A pushcart with no wheels. Oh, I need a moment. This is definitely going into the script. Wait, did I just become Deadpool? Kenzie, focus! Doris convinces Sanka to join him and find Irving Blitzer, played by the late John Candy, last seen in Mickey's Subsidiaries, a spin-off of The Kingdom of Isolation, in Home Alone. According to Raoul D. Lewis, Kurt Russell was considered for the role of Irv Blitzer. Kurt Mother Truckin' Russell as Irv Blitzer. What if? What if? Now, this is the last performance where John Candy is clean-shaven. He wears a beard in his last two movies, Wagons East and Canadian Bacon. Those two both coming out after he had passed away. Rest in peace, John Candy. Now, the film's key major setting, of course, Calgary. And John Candy, being Canadian, he was born in Toronto, Ontario. So, there you go. The Jamaican bobsledder characters in the movie were all fictional characterizations and were not based on their real-life counterparts. John Candy's Irv Blitzer, coach character, is also fictional. Irv is listening to horse racing on the radio, cheering Tumbleweed on, only to lose out to Captain Video and Brewster. Now, one of those horses, and Brewster is one of the horses that is mentioned. Yeah, so John Candy also starred alongside Richard Pryor in Brewster's Millions. Another classic I should really look into watching at some point. Doris and Sanka find Irv only to end up seeing him destroy the radio with a pool cue. Not the sort of introduction anybody was expecting. After several attempts to speak to him, Irv gives Doris a thorough reality check.
Snow. You don't have any. It's 900 degrees out there. Time. You don't have any. The Olympics are in 3 months. And me. You don't have me.
Effectively saying, bobsledding no longer exists to him. Thanks, Miguel. It takes a lot of convincing to get Irv on board, but in the end, Doris manages to.
Your father was one of the toughest competitors I ever saw. He ran the 100 meters in 10 flat. Well, I run it to 9.9.
Doris Bannock claims to run the 100-meter dash in 9.9 seconds, 1/10 of a second faster than his father, Ben Bannock. Carl Lewis won the gold medal at the 88 Summer Olympics with a time of 9.92, after Ben Johnson was stripped of the honor after posting a steroid-aided time of 9.79. They hold a presentation on what bobsledding is, and when the presentation finishes, anyone left?
So, who wants in?
Nope. Also, not the way you want to end your presentation, which did showcase actual bobsledding footage from actual events. Yule and Junior arrive late and make the four-man team ready to prepare for Canada, although Doris and Sanka could easily do the two-man event. Anyway, the practice sled they have is, and these are my grand's words, God rest her soul, made out of all bicycle parts. Although I do want to point this out.
Meeting start yet?
Uh-oh. You! I'll kill you!
That's not going to end well. Doris has a point. Take out Junior, and there's no team. Irv gives them all their positions in the sled, and the exchanges between Sanka and Irv are brilliant, culminating with...
I say we make Doris the driver.
So do I, Sanka. So do I.
Junior Bevel's father secures him a position with Webster and Cohen, the biggest brokerage house in Miami. This is a fictitious firm. In other words, it doesn't exist. Anyway, they start practicing, and the montage, in typical sports montage fashion, starts off hilariously where it all goes wrong, unorthodox training methods before they reach the final start, where they manage 5.9 seconds.
Sanka, you dead?
Yeah, man.
If I had a shot. Coolidge doesn't give them the funding they need to get to Calgary, so they raise the funds themselves. These include trying to find sponsors, arm wrestling, a kissing booth, and busking in the streets, giving us this little gem.
Jamaica, we have a bobsled team.
The Jamaican bobsled team never raised money from the kissing booth, as the team was funded by George Fitch and the Jamaican Tourism Board, making such fundraising gimmicks unnecessary. If that kissing booth wasn't here in the film, we wouldn't end up with this. Unfortunately, they don't have enough from their fundraising until Junior comes in and says he sold his car, and boom! Olympics, here we come! More steel jumps transitioning into some country music, violins and all, as they touch down in Canada. Sanka puts on all his clothes.
Sanka, man, what you smoking?
I'm not smoking. I'm breathing.
And Irv sums this up perfect.
All right, fellas, this is us. Let's go.
I'll be first.
What's the matter? You guys cold?
The film's temperature of minus 25 degrees, which is of course in centigrade or Celsius, and thus minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit. Did occur as a nighttime low shortly before the 88 Winter Olympics, according to Calgary weather records. But the temperatures subsequently warmed rapidly, even reached the 60s in Fahrenheit on some days during the games. Wow. Irv gets the team registered for tryouts and meets Roger to try and get a sled for $5,000. Irv Blitzer is said to have secured Roger a spot on the 68 Grenoble Olympics team, which were held in France, and Italy won both gold medals in the bobsled events in those games.
Listen, 3 of these guys can run the 100 in under 10 flat. I don't care who you are, that's lightning.
Yeah, but can lightning run on ice?
Well, give him some skates and we can make a start there. According to Dries, the shoes aren't very effective. They have to leave the ice for practice.
All right, fellas, that's it. Let's get off the ice before practice.
What practice?
That practice.
In Soviet Mother Russia, practice leaves for you. That's the only Soviet Mother Russia joke I'll make without the risk of being nuked. What the fuck? And yes, for those that don't know their history, CCCP is the Russian abbreviation for the USSR. Irv's retort is just brilliant.
Good team this year.
Dewey's is at the bobsled run watching the Swiss. I can only assume doing their qualifying run. Now, in the German dubbing of this movie, the Swiss bobsledders 1, 2, 3 had been redubbed with a strong Swiss accent, 1, 2, 3. When the other characters imitate them, they also imitate the accent. Yikes! In the original English version, Hochdeutsch, Standard German, is spoken. The sound of a TIE fighter can be heard as the Swiss sled goes down the track. Wait a minute, when did Star Wars become part of Cool Runnings? Now, the music here is beautiful, showing the grace and precision the Swiss team have as they head down the run. Irv then shows the team their sled. Everyone just looks on in silence at the sight of the Jamaicans, and Sanka breaks the awkward silence here.
Oh. This is good.
Raoul D. Lewis stated in an interview that the bobsled the characters used in the film was an actual bobsled, whereas Sanka Coffey's egg was made of rubber. The first of two times Peter Outerbridge plays an athlete here, the East German bobsledder who badgers the Jamaicans to be exact in this case. He was also a marathon runner in Mr. Monk and the Marathon Man. In typical sports films fashion, Josef Gruhl acts arrogant and jokingly intimidates the Jamaicans with Term 12. As mentioned earlier, everyone during the actual Olympics was very welcoming towards the Jamaicans, as is the true spirit of the games. Another running gag is Sanka being unable to get his helmet on due to his dreadlocks. And then...
Oh, coach?
Yeah.
I gotta go, you know.
Hold it.
Hold it,
Hold it.
hold it.
Yeah, hold it.
leading to this.
Sanka, you dead?
Yeah, man.
You can pee now.
Too late.
On January 18, 2014, the Jamaican bobsled team qualified for the two-man bobsled event at the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, Mother Russia. Okay, I know I said the previous joke was going to be the only joke I would make, but hey. They have described themselves as Cool Runnings, the second generation. In light of the team's qualification for the 2014 Olympics, Dudley Stokes, one of the original 1988 team and now General Secretary of the Jamaican Bobsleigh Federation, said, "I don't think the support for the team, like we've seen over the last 3 days, would have been sustainable without the ongoing appeal of the movie." He's not wrong on that one. People still love this film to this day. I still love this film to this day. The team received funding from many sources, including one donation campaign held by the online community for the cryptocurrency Dogecoin.
Now, I hope you don't mind keeping quiet while I catch up on my reading.
Now, the comic book Sanka Coffey is reading on the bed is The Incredible Hulk number 282, which had a release date of April 1983. I just like pointing that one out. Oh, and by the way, comics aren't just for kids. I was just talking to someone after the midnight screening of the Deadpool movie regarding some of the Marvel comics he's read, including Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet, and his personal favorite, World War Hulk.
What I am saying to you is that you are the kind of club-toting, raw meat-eating, me-Tarzan, you-Janing, big ball bubblehead that can only count to 10 if he's barefoot or wearing sandals.
Great comeback from Sanka there, who then ridicules Yule for wanting to live at Buckingham Palace. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II. No, sorry, rest in peace, Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. Reason I bring that up, because Jamaica's a Commonwealth territory.
All he has to do is know what he wants and work hard for it. And if he wants it bad enough, he'll get it.
Wise words from Junior. Again, the music here is used wonderfully, showing the first sign of friendship developed between Junior and Yule. The first proper push start doesn't end well, and they're made out to be fools in all the papers, causing Junior's dad to be
absolutely livid.
Thanks, Frieza. You're absolutely livid. Thanks, Frieza. Denise then learns that Irv Blunt was busted at the 72 games. How did he get busted?
The 72 games. The guy hid weights in the front of the sled to make it go faster.
Interesting he says that, because in the sport of bobsledding, adding weight to the sled is perfectly legal. In fact, sometimes it was a safety measure. Both 2- and 4-man sleds have minimum and maximum weights. The weight of the sled is calculated as the total weight of the sled and its crew. If the fully loaded sled weighs less than the minimum, it is perfectly legal to add weight to make up the difference. Of course, creative liberties, etc., etc. Later, while preparing for a night out, Junior gets a letter from his father demanding he heads back home. This then leads us to another one of those quoted moments of the film.
I see pride. Can't hear you. I see power. I see a badass mother who won't take no crap off of nobody. Once again. I see pride. Junior. I see power. I see a badass mother who won't take no crap off of nobody. That's right. Right. Junior Bevel.
Wait, where are you going?
This then gets Junior pumped up to confront the East Germans before a bar fight breaks out. Thankfully, no charges get pressed because Irv tells the bar the Jamaicans were mentally disturbed. Then a reality check from Irv.
Now, maybe you haven't noticed, but we aren't exactly winning any popularity contests here. They hate me, they hate you, they hate us.
It's butt whipping time, and montage time to another fun song on the soundtrack, Rise Above It. The team are getting better and better with their runs and training. Then it's time for qualifying. At the Olympic Games, the Jamaican uniforms prominently feature the Adidas logo. The real 88 Jamaican bobsled uniforms did promote the Adidas name, but not the logo. The time, quite conveniently, is changed from 62 seconds to 60 seconds. Regardless, the Jamaicans qualify for the Olympics and celebrate with a fresh paint job on the sled and some nice cold bottles of Coca-Cola. Always tastes much better out of the glass bottle, in my opinion. The cinematography during the run looks fantastic here, especially with the close-ups on the eyes, showing pure focus on the job at hand. Dries then names the sled Cool Runnings, meaning peace be the journey. One more obstacle in the way, though.
We are officially disqualified.
Leaving Earth,
absolutely livid,
and goes to confront the Alliance as to why they were disqualified. The International Alliance of Winter Sports bobsled governing organization featured in the movie is entirely fictional. The real-life bobsledding governing body is actually called the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation. Essentially, they just want to do anything they can to prevent Jamaica from having the greatest honor any athlete can have, representing your country at the Olympics, the biggest sporting event in the world. After some convincing, he gets the Jamaicans back in, and we witness the opening ceremony with some stirring music from Hans Zimmer, probably my favorite part of the whole soundtrack. Still gets me every time. Everything about this part of the soundtrack just screams Olympics. The television march past at the opening ceremony shows the coach and the 4 bobsledders. In fact, Jamaica was represented at the Calgary opening ceremony by about 10 people, including officials and backup sledders. During the opening ceremony's scene, Blitzer is seen wearing a white Smith-built cowboy hat. The white Smith-built is a trademark of the city of Calgary, where the 15th Winter Olympics were held in '88. Actual TV sports footage from the ABC network covering the '88 Winter Olympics was utilized for the film and edited into the movie. It always amazes me how they manage that. Junior's father arrives in Calgary to take him home. Instead, Junior stands up to him and says he's staying with the team. And Yule's response to all of this is just brilliant.
Badass.
Time for the Olympics to get underway as we witness the bobsled event take place. The broadcasters remark that the hot tropical island of Jamaica has joined the '88 Winter Games. In fact, the first tropical nation to compete in the Winter Olympics was the Philippines in 1972. Where did the '72 Olympics take place? Sapporo, Japan. By the '88 Olympics, 10 nations with tropical locations and climates were competing. These countries included Bolivia, Costa Rica, Guatemala, the Netherlands Antilles, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Fiji, Guam,
Norway and Sweden and Iceland and Finland and Germany now one piece. Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey and Greece.
Not now, Yakko. Where was I? The Philippines, and of course, Jamaica! This is another great part of the film score. Yes, I'll continue praising Hans Zimmer's music on my deathbed if I have to. This particular part is definitely what you'd hear during the coverage of the Olympics themselves.
I am feeling very Olympic today. How about you?
You and me both, Sanka. The youngsters in Jamaica have their own scoreboard to keep track of how everyone's doing. I love this montage, as you can hear the energy from the crowd getting excited for the competition getting underway. The first run for Jamaica doesn't go well and leaves them last on the board with 58.04 seconds. Keep that time important for, so we'll just take that time and we'll put it to the side because it becomes important for a bit of behind the scenes trivia shortly.
Yo, the driver here, Dries Bannock, looks like the sled's really driving him.
That fool better watch his mouth.
He better watch more than that.
Classic case of the side character stealing the scene whenever they're on screen. Eventually, Sanka gets the idea to have their own style of bobsledding.
The passes of Jamaican sprinter. Respect to the man, Blitzer.
The second run goes so much better this time around, 56.53 seconds, pushing them up into 8th place. Even if the Jamaicans even if the Jamaicans' best run in the four-man event was 58.04, the time they set in the first run, in fact. Darius then has a moment with Irv asking him why he cheated.
I had to win. Hey, Coach. How will I know if I'm enough? When you cross that finish line, you'll know.
Coolidge is at the bar. The residents are watching the action from, and the broadcasters, of course, Jamaican Fever, with the shirts that they're wearing. The final run is about to take place, and a very real prospect of getting a medal is on the cards for Jamaica. Yule wants to kiss Sanka's left egg, and off they go for the final run. See you at the finish line, Darius. Here, something goes wrong with the sled, when in reality, they just went too fast around one of the corners. The sled effectively ends upside down. But thankfully, everyone's okay.
I have to finish the race.
The medical team make it to the sled, but the Jamaicans carry the sled overhead across the finish line to rapturous applause, not just from the crowd in Calgary, but from you can hear the applause from Jamaica as well. Even Junior's dad has a shirt for the occasion as well. We then finish with the Jamaicans earning Yosef's respect, all while Zimmer's music takes us across the finish line with the Jamaicans. Irv embraces Darius, and Coolidge then hangs the team photo on the wall, returning home as heroes and returning to the Olympics as equals. What can I say about this film that hasn't already been said? Still, we have the scores to get through, so let's get them out of the way. The story, I gave it 8. Yes, I am aware that creative liberties were taken with some of the events that took place. Some of them warranted, others I feel were a bit unnecessary. I won't pinpoint which one specifically. That being said, it's well paced, and it's another great underdog story trying to overcome the odds. The characters, couldn't really find anything wrong with them. Definitely gave them a 9. They're well written. I would say they did well with the casting, and just Jeffrey Katzenberg, do not interfere under any circumstances ever again. Anyway, like I say, the characters, they get a 9. Fantastic throughout, very funny, and the development, especially from the more antagonistic characters, is really, really well done as well. The visuals, I also gave a 9. Now, of course, those that know me know the visuals are normally the animation. But in this case, when it comes to live action films, it's mainly from things like the cinematography, how it's edited, etc., etc. So I'd say this is really, really well done. Great presentation all round, and just I honestly can't really find anything to fault with it. Just just great choice of the cinematography for Jamaica, and then it's more vibrant when they get to Canada. Absolutely fantastic throughout. The soundtrack, of course, it was going to get a 10. I'm not faulting this soundtrack. The songs throughout the film are great, and Hans Zimmer's score, chef kiss on that. And then the most important one, the legacy. This film is 30 plus years old. Where do we begin? Well, let's start, as always, with the box office. With a budget of $17 million, only $17 million, we end up with a grand total of $154 million worldwide at the box office. positive reviews from critics, with a 76% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Cool Runnings, on the general consensus on Rotten Tomatoes, Cool Runnings rises above its formulaic sports movie themes with charming performances, light humor, and uplifting tone. I agree with that. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film a grade A on a scale of A to F. Now, the American Film Institute gave it a bit of recognition as well. Nominated for the 100 Years, 100 Cheers for the ending, I would assume, and then the AFI's 10 Top 10, which honors the 10 greatest films in 10 classic film genres. And it was nominated in the sports category. It didn't make it, but the top 10 for the sports films, I'm just going to rattle it off here. Jerry Maguire, National Velvets, Breaking Away, Caddyshack, The Hustler, Bull Durham, Hoosiers, Pride of the Yankees, Rocky, and Raging Bull at number 1. Raging Bull, I really need to get around to watching at some point. I really need to get around to that. And now, historical differences. Interesting. One of the big historical differences I've just seen here as well is that Jamaica were actually disqualified by the International Olympic Committee for late entry into the competition. But pressure from several appeals, including Prince Albert of Monaco, who competed in the event himself, led to the reversal of the decision, as opposed to an appeal by their coach. Interestingly. Now, in the film, the team crashes due to mechanical and structural failures in the left front blade of their bobsleigh on their third and final run. In reality, the crash occurred on their penultimate run, which I can only assume. Looking at the times, that would have been 4 runs. Yeah. In reality, the crash occurred on their penultimate run and was deemed to occur due to driver inexperience, excess speed, and regressing the turn too high, which caused the sled to become unstable and top-heavy, leading it to topple on its left side. Since 1988, Jamaica have actually qualified for the Winter Olympics on a number of occasions. The only Winter Olympics they didn't qualify for was the Turin Olympics in 2006. Now, so Jamaica have competed in the Winter Olympics numerous times since '88. The only ones they didn't participate in were 2006. Jamaica at the 2010 Winter Olympics in the ski cross event, which I think's pretty cool. So, but overall, the lasting appeal of this film, and you're getting more and more people getting into watching the film now. It's with it being on Disney Plus, or if you've got it on home media like myself, which I actually got as a Christmas present one year from my gran. Thank God rest her soul. So overall, The Legacy gets an 11, giving us a very respectable score of 94%. Now, this is going into the specials board. This is going into the specials scoreboard. So, where do we rank it based on the scores? Well, Cool Runnings have earned themselves a bronze medal. They're 3rd place on the table right now, so fantastic. They get themselves an Olympic medal. Woohoo! But obviously, if you haven't had a chance to watch this for a while, definitely go back and rewatch it. And if it's going to be your first time watching it, you're going to have an absolute blast. So, that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Kingdom of Isolation looking at Cool Runnings. If you did, hit the thumbs up, and if you want to be part of the Kingdom of Isolation yourself, you can hit the subscribe button down at the bottom, click the bell, turn on notifications so you don't miss when an episode goes live on this channel. There's not going to be an episode of the Kingdom of Isolation for the next week or so because I'm going to be doing youth counselling for a week. I'm going to be a youth counsellor down in Nottingham, so that's going to be fun. So it'll give me a chance to take a bit of time away from all of this. But the next sports film we're going to look at will be Remember the Titans. And then from there, I think that film will probably just round off the Summer of Sports. And actually, we'll finish off with the Oscar-winning Chariots of Fire. So we've got Cool Runnings here. We've had Cars 2. We're going to have Remember the Titans next. And then we're going to get Chariots of Fire. But until then, folks, hope you guys enjoy the Olympics. And I'll see you guys next time in the Kingdom of Isolation.